I'm working for NewBay Software, who are wholly owned by Research in Motion. So this talk is NewBay specific. It's not Research in Motion. And see how we get on. I'm going to try and do a bit of a demo in the middle of it, and that has been troublesome this morning. So just to get started, I'm very new to Puppet and Vagrant, so this is just what I've been able to figure out. So I don't have all the answers, but okay, so you got the intro about NewBay. We're not extensively using Puppet yet, but this isn't a talk about how we're using it, just to say that we use it to provision some profiles on new VMs, and we're working on the continuous delivery deployment stuff and ENCs. What I am hoping to try and do today is talk a bit about Vagrant and how to use it to get Graphite up and running, and then use Puppet to provision an Nginx as a web server. That is what isn't working for me right now, but we'll see how you get on. And what I wanted to show was how you then go to the Puppet Forge and grab a module you want and apply that. So if you haven't seen Graphite before, it's just a monitoring tool that you can point your application server to, and if things start up well, we'll see something like that when there's some content being thrown at it. And I chose to speak about this one because I had to do a spike on Graphite for our code a few months ago, and I went through the manual step of installing Graphite and all the dependencies, and I spent maybe a week doing that. And then I decided to be clever and clean up a few RPMs, and I deleted everything from the box. You couldn't even LS on the machine by the time I'd finished it. So that story went around the company, and I heard it over lunch and was like, oh, did you hear about the developer idiot who, you know, messed up the box so much you couldn't LS? And I was like, no, who was it? Oh, I don't know who he is. So cat's out of the bag now, it was me. But so if you haven't seen Vagrant before, Mitchell gave the extended talk yesterday. Some people might have gone to that, and it's just a tool for spinning up a virtual box, so you can initialize it, destroy it, and it doesn't affect a real machine. So you know, I took that machine out of action for a solid week and had to put in the request for IT to bring it back. So this kind of is my use case for using Vagrant and Puppet at the moment. The installation requirements are documented everywhere, but you know, it requires VirtualBox, Ruby, and then Vagrant. And there's about 20 or 30 basic commands that let you get set up in a matter of minutes. So ones you'll be using a lot is the box add, initialize, and then up to create the instance. And the help command line tool is very useful. So for Vagrant, if you take the Puppet part out of it, there is an example online of squeeze Graphite that somebody else went to the trouble of getting all of that up and running, and you can just download that box, add it to your Vagrant file, initialize it, and you get that Graphite screen. It's all done for you. Or you can go kind of the Puppet module route and provision whatever you need, make your changes. So when you do your Vagrant init, it creates this Vagrant file, which is your basic configuration block, and that next line is just how to use it with Nginx. Okay. I should excuse me, show something at this point. So I would do a Vagrant init right now and point it to that squeeze box, but that takes about 3 or 4 minutes. So just for time's sake, I did this one before we came in. The important things to note is just the VM box name is squeeze Graphite. So if you saw on the slide there, I did a base box add, and okay, sorry, I should have changed that URL to be the squeeze box one, but this after the add is the box name, and that should match up with what you have here. So I have one called Squeeze Graphite. Let me just split this. They're all the boxes that I've been messing with in the last week. So Squeeze Graphite is there for me to use locally. And that's where this guy is pulling it in. So the IP address here is just when I do a Vagrant up on this, I want to go to my local host, go to this IP address, and see that Graphite screen, well, the login screen, but something with Graphite in it anyway. So if I just do a Vagrant up, cross our fingers, hope we get something. I think I've set GUI mode to true, so we should see that popping up now in a sec. Hopefully it doesn't hang. I've seen sometimes it can hang at this point where it's trying to do some SSH command, and there's a tip that you can just restart on your local host the networking service, and that will rejig that. I should have set the log. There's a flag for a Vagrant log to set that to info, and then we'd see something a bit more useful at this point. So I might do that in a second. This isn't going to work. So when this box comes up, you can SSH onto it using the command vagrant SSH. Okay, that maybe did something. Fingers crossed. I'll just bring up a web browser, see if we can get to it. Okay, thanks. Okay, so this is just using Vagrant to get all that Graphite stuff in a few commands, a few seconds. What I want to go back to now. Oh yeah. Okay, so what I wanted to do next was apply a Puppet module to either this instance or something else. I might have to use a demo that was working for me yesterday, so apologies if it's not live altogether. But oh, I should just show one command. Sorry, Puppet module search Graphite. So this Chris uploaded this Graphite module there recently, and it was listed on the PuppetConf website as one of the module bounty winners. So because I've been trying to get the Graphite thing working, I thought it'd be a great idea to just follow his steps and see how I got on. What I discovered, and I'll talk about it, is that he got this working using CentOS 6 and a 64-bit machine. My laptop, unfortunately, is a 32-bit, and I'd been playing with CentOS 5, so the big thing that I learned from this is to, well, read the README of the module you download, and just make sure that that kind of IT stuff is matching up. So in this example, oh, sorry. Apologies. He just has a very simple Graphite Puppet file where he gives the URL to where the Graphite and Carbon RPMs are. This site is broken at the moment, so I changed that in my example to one from Puppet. But just including this Graphite file and executing the commands just under should install some of the basic stuff for us. So the way to, maybe I'll do it up here. the way to install Puppet module, if anyone hasn't seen it, is Puppet module install and give the full name. And if you do a module list, you can see that it has pulled in the Graphite one and its dependencies. If I wanted to use that Graphite, sorry, in here, I should have used another, and maybe I'll just stick to this one. Sorry for switching, but if I want to use that Graphite one, just have a look at this. You edit your main Puppet file to include Graphite and Carbon, and if I can swing down to the bottom, this is cut and pasted from Chris's the website just there, where I changed the base URL to be the Puppet Labs one. And from running this example, I discovered that there was a couple of directories that weren't being created for me. Maybe that works in CentOS 6 if you do everything as Chris did, but this was kind of a workaround, so I had to get Puppet to ensure that these directories are created for me. I'm going to execute this one, and I can tell you now it's not fully working, but you might learn something from seeing some of the errors. I think it's halted at the moment, so I just need to restart it. So that's the... Okay, so some of the things that I discovered with this, I mentioned it already, the URL was incorrect when Vagrant up was hanging for me. I put that sleep into the network interfaces file and did a networking restart thing. The version of CentOS that I had wasn't installing virtual box editions for me, so this next line is just something that I had to manually do. Well, manually for now, get Puppet to do it later. Yum install these kernel sources and then go back to the host box and call the command vagrant vbguest, so that would add virtual box editions onto my CentOS 5 instance. So that's just a bit of a workaround. And then just the last one, that I obviously have a few versions of these virtual boxes on my local machine, and it seems to get in a bit of a state of flux the odd time, so I'll get an error saying this virtual box exists, so I've had to just remove it and try and create again. Just see if I can... Okay, so this is the virtual box starting up in GUI mode, and you can get all the errors here. Get some good feedback. It's going to fail down at the very end. It'll install all the Carbon and Whisper stuff for me, but it doesn't execute properly. And I think at the moment I'm down to like a Python error. So at the moment, I haven't shown anything that takes a pain out of just installing Graphite using Puppet module, but I think the idea is that when the module is properly fixed, me or somebody else will upload it to the Forge and have a fully functioning one and label it and say this only works for CentOS 5 and whatever I've tested it with. So that's kind of the idea of using these things and learning from them. So that is as far as I got with trying to get Graphite working. You can see at the end it's missing Carbon service. Nginx, it shouldn't be, yeah, I have a mixture of a couple of demos in that. It shouldn't have the Nginx one, but I'll just move on. But basically, I should be able to get this exact same login page from spinning up that other Vagrant instance. It's a little bit broken, the joys of live demos. So I'll just move on. So what I learned from trying to get that exercise working is that the Forge isn't a one-click solution where all the complexity is abstracted out for you. You know, I was able to apply Chris's module. It wasn't the right mix of versions of the machine and the BIOS and stuff. So it's kind of a starting point. Sometimes you'll be able to use one and it's out of the box, really easy to use and straightforward, but make sure to read the README. Yesterday there was a talk on the Forge modules and how to verify that, you know, that version that I took of the module. Some more information about how to use it would be helpful. So I think there was a chat about, you know, rating the modules like Amazon do, or doing different things where you just get more feedback and information about how useful this module is. My thought was maybe to implement something like Eclipse have a cheat sheet wizard where it'll automate some of those steps for you for the real user who doesn't know what they're doing. That would have been handy. Okay. Oh, is that it? Okay. Sorry, if my demo had worked, I'd have more to talk about, but that's where I've gotten so far with Vagrant and using Puppet and then installing some modules, playing with them and figuring out, understand your network limitations and BIOS stuff. So that's it. It's a brief one, but that's how I've gotten on so far. So I don't know if anybody has any feedback or comments, but hi.
If we're using VMware for multiple virtualization, is there any point in using Vagrant, considering it requires VirtualBox rather than VMware?
I don't know, do you have that?
I believe Mitchell's been doing some work on getting VMware integrated with Vagrant, but I don't know the state of that.
It also, I mean, they kind of solve different problems, right? In the sense, like, you know, the virtualization aspect is just one piece. What Vagrant really does for you is that kind of command line, quick setup and get it ready, and now make yourself a little web server, you know, which, to my knowledge, VMware doesn't really kind of have anything like that. It has workstation, which is really nice, but it's not like a way to kind of launch a new box, kind of just as a one-line activity, which is what Vagrant does.
I mean, in comparison to where I would just make a machine, like a real quick system in VMware, and then just kickstart it and have that ready to just add as a test node or Puppet versus some sort of integration with Vagrant. Would there be a point in trying to use Vagrant at this point?
When you're not smart enough, like me, to use things like Kickstarter.
Okay. Anything else? Sounds like you guys know more about this than me. This is just a user experience. Like I was saying, it's like doing the test pilot only live. I'm going to test for my t-shirt. I gave it a go. Yeah, and this just last night, I had something. I had Nginx, I had my Graphite, I had a few bits and pieces working, and just from over-engineering, I've obviously broken the last bit of my demo, so we went bowling. And just saw this, it was fun. So if that's all the questions, that's me done.